From the moment they were widely available, I was ecstatic about the promise of LLMs, large language models. As a composer and a musician, I equated that moment to an equivalent one in the mid-20th century, when reel-to-reel tape machines became inexpensive enough for hobbyists to purchase, making possible the revelation and revolution of electronic music. Here, with the advent of LLMs, was a new frontier. Headlines heralded a coming age of AI poetry, AI art, AI companionship, AI music. And then quickly, that ecstatic quality turned to disappointment, even boredom. For what it's worth, I think my misguided request that Google Bard write an epic poem on the mythosaur may have hastened my disillusionment. More to the immediate point, LLMs are simply not able to read notation, sheet music, at a level that makes it worth the time for anyone who has serious analytical questions, or at least questions that have not already been answered by humans using words. LLMs can pilfer and rearrange words. They're very good at that. All this happened in the fall semester of 2022. At that time, I was producing a semi-staged performance of Arnold Schoenberg's Pierrot Lunaire, and I thought it might be fun to have AI assist me as I blogged my way through the 21 sublimely creative songs in Schoenberg's atonal masterwork. Alas, Google Bard, since replaced by Gemini, and by the time anyone watches this talk, just as likely replaced by something else, couldn't hack it. But it's far worse than that, as anyone who has stumbled upon or sought out an AI hallucination will know. Not only did Bard reveal its limitations, a straightforward inability to read music notation, but it misled me repeatedly about those limitations. Sure, I can do that, was followed time and time again by my demonstration that it could not, then by Bard's admission of error, then by Bard's assertion that it could do whatever I asked. Cue the curtain, show's over. Fast forward to 2025. Well, not quite. From time to time over the last few years, I have rejoined the fray, having heard from someone, a trusted colleague here, a disreputable online source there, about AI's rise, its encyclopedic mastery of all fields of knowledge, its divine supplanting of humans and all their varied spheres of endeavor. Take this line from Hollis Robbins' February 2025 opinion piece, terrifyingly titled, "It's Later Than You Think." The AGI, that's artificial general intelligence, launching now can reason, learn, and solve problems across all domains at or above human level. I first read this as part of an AI study group at my home institution, the University of the Incarnate Word, and I have to say, found it risible based on my own years-old and continuing experiences interacting with Gemini and Microsoft Copilot. Nevertheless, I accept that there are many things I do not know or understand. I have limitations, I freely admit. I am just human. And then, as if I had placed an order at the emporium of pithy TED Talk examples, I had an opportunity quite recently to return to this exploration of AI's limitations in reading music notation and learn something new and also profoundly disturbing. This time the task, which was given by a colleague to several LLMs, was not entirely analytical. It was also pedagogical. The prompt was as follows: AI of choice, teach me how to play the first measure of this composition. And then what happened? I shall tell you. Not one of the LLMs could identify the correct key signature, sharps and flats, of the composition. Not one of the LLMs could identify the correct key, C major, F minor, of the composition. Not one of the LLMs read the right hand correctly after the first chord. Fine. That means very little, except that things haven't demonstrably changed since 2022. All those claims of unstoppable achievement look pretty hollow in the face of a problem that any freshman music major could solve without batting an eye. Should I go easier? Am I expecting too much? Given the headlines that we've all read, the amount of energy this thing is consuming, our attention, and our actual energy production, and the repeated assertions from people who ought to know that this is a problem AI has solved, when clearly it isn't? No, I don't think so. And please understand, I am not a Luddite. I signed up to use Bard the instant it was available. I want technology's help to do the things I can't do on my own. But here it is, purveying misinformation, not as an exception, but as a way of unapologetically doing business. Yet again, none of this surprised me. It just reaffirmed my understanding from 3 years ago. But what came next? That surprised me. You'll remember that the prompt was not really about music analysis, but about how to play the thing. Teach me how to play the first measure. The answer? Play the right hand chord with 1, 3, 5. Yes, very good AI. That's a fine suggestion for a close-voiced chord. Then, keep your hand in position while playing the moving notes. This is a bit ambiguous. Possibly it could be understood as keeping the hand in that close-voiced position, but shifting it on a sort of horizontal plane. Or it could mean keeping the hand right where it is without moving it at all. Both suggestions are impossible as it turns out, even if you give AI the benefit of the doubt and take its advice to mean that the close-voiced position can move horizontally. The final chord of the measure spans a sixth, one note beyond what the prescribed position can reach. But the left hand is where things get apocalyptic. Here's AI's advice. Use 5, 3, 1 for the 3-note chords. For those of you playing air piano at home, that's pinky, middle finger, thumb, the mirror of AI's advice for the right hand chord. Here's the problem. The 3-note chords in the left hand are not close-voiced triads, but widely spaced trichords, spanning an octave with a fifth in the middle. I encourage you to try this on your leg. Stretch out that space between your left-hand pinky and middle finger, and imagine that there are 3 white piano keys separating them. Quite a stretch, isn't it? If you have smaller hands, I would say it's somewhere on the uncomfortable to downright painful continuum. Don't worry though, by measure 6 of the composition, that left hand 3-note chord has expanded, and now you need to imagine 4 white piano keys separating your pinky from your middle finger. Can I do it? Yes. Do I recommend that a beginning piano student do that for all left-hand 3-note chords? No. Nor would any human piano teacher on planet Earth, nor should you, nor should AI. And this is the central point. In the absence of knowledge, in the absence of problem-solving skills, in the combination of an inability to read sheet music and an incapacity to synthesize that skill with an understanding of human anatomy, AI has prescribed harm. Let me say it again. AI has prescribed harm to people who, in this hypothetical, for now, scenario, might not have the knowledge to defend themselves or the self-confidence to call a spade and reject bad advice when it hurts them. This advice would lead to injury. The AGI launching now can reason, learn, and solve problems across all domains at or above human level. I have reason to doubt, and you should too. As I was sitting with this problem, and I hope you will agree that it is a problem, 2 questions occurred to me. The first, which I'm sure many listeners will have anticipated, is about the transferability of this scenario to other disciplines. I'm a musicologist and composer. I teach music regularly. I've published and presented scholarly work that depends on my own music analysis. In these respects, I am not a typical AI user. I'm unusually sensitive, which is not to say inappropriately sensitive, to false claims that an LLM or its proponents would make about its abilities to undertake music analysis or to teach a human how to play a musical instrument. But I just don't know about many other fields. I'm sure we've all heard and read claims in the past few months even about the promise of AI in the area of telehealth. Say, an instance of carpal tunnel due to excessive strain in the left-handed wrist. More broadly, are other disciplinary experts discovering ways in which AI is not merely incorrect, but dangerously so? Is music really that much of an cries out for an answer, but I can't give it. I can only ask the question and speculate. My limitations. The second question is more conceptual, and here I can provide something like an answer, or better, a solution. It's not my solution, and probably it's the better for it. The question, suggested in the title of my talk, is, what do we do if AI is prescribing injury? And the solution is simple. Put up guardrails. LLMs have the capacity to do this, of course, and here the proof is just as simple. If you ask an LLM for its code, unless it's an open source LLM, it will tell you that that information is proprietary. In other words, LLMs don't deliver answers no matter the question. Their coding ensures that certain answers to certain questions are prohibited from distribution. It is therefore a simple matter to program AI not to prescribe human activity that will cause harm, and in the absence of the ability to ascertain whether an activity would cause harm, to say so in no uncertain terms, or at the very least to lead with a disclaimer, please consult. How hard would that be? If all this sounds vaguely familiar, it might be because of a science fiction classic that has found an honored place in the popular imagination. This is Isaac Asimov's I, Robot, that collection of short stories that includes Runaround, where Asimov's 3 laws of robotics were first articulated. These may be more famous than Newton's laws of motion at this point, but here they are in case you're rusty. 1. A robot may not injure a human being or, through an action, allow a human being to come to harm. 2. A robot must obey the orders given it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. 3. A robot must protect its own existence, as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second laws. These tidy, up-with-people laws, we long thought, lived safely in the world of science fiction. In 2025, when drone warfare is being waged, we could perhaps argue that the time has come to make the worldwide adoption of Asimov's laws a matter of global public health. But the relevance of Asimov's laws for LLMs and AI in general has been sidelined, I would argue, because ChatGPT doesn't wear a mech suit. In his brilliant essay collection, Distrust That Particular Flavor, another science fiction titan, William Gibson, writes of science fiction's cyborg as a chimera of meat and machine. Think Blade Runner, think Terminator. But as Gibson explains, quote, the physical union of human and machine, long dreaded and long anticipated, has been an accomplished fact for decades. Think cell phone in your hand, earbuds enveloping you in a disembodied environment, or, potently, the long, dark winter of a COVID pandemic spent on Zoom, bleeding into a tepid post-COVID spring spent on Teams. We already are cyborgs, says Gibson. And along those lines, LLMs already are the robots of Asimov's laws. They don't need C-3PO's body to prove it. What we need, therefore, is threefold, and here I'll go in reverse. Third, we need a robust, ongoing, multidisciplinary inquiry into just how frequently AI is prescribing harm. Second, we need to acknowledge that AI is Asimov's robot and has that capacity to harm. But first, always first, clearly first, do we really need to point this out first? We need protections put in place so that AI isn't prescribing injury in a wide variety of ways to those people most susceptible to it. This is good work for humans. Thank you.